Hey everyone, I wanted to make a video today that answers the question, should you buy Halo Wars 2 in the year 2020? Is Halo Wars 2 too old or too irrelevant to play, or is it worth your money in 2020? I made a similar video of the Master Chief Collection answering that question as well. This video is going to be focused on Halo Wars 2. To cut it short and give you the TLDR explanation, yes, I think you should buy Halo Wars 2 in 2020. And I'll give you some reasons why. First and foremost, with the Halo Infinite delay, Halo Wars 2 is still the newest released Halo game. Even though Halo Wars 2 is almost 4 years old, it is still the most recent release of Halo. Halo Wars 2 also is kind of interesting because it's still in that Reclaimer saga, if you want to call it, that 343 has going on. But it introduces the Banished, but it still has a little bit of the Forerunner kind of vibe going on. So you see a lot of this influence of the Forerunners throughout a little bit of Halo Wars 2 because it does take place on the Ark. But I think it's the start of a new chapter in Halo. We know the Banished faction are the main enemy faction, supposedly, in Halo Infinite. So if you're someone who's always played the FPS genre of Halo, so you only play the mainline Master Chief games, or you play some of the spin-offs like Reach and ODST, you still have a chance to dive into Halo Wars 2, get an understanding of who the Banished are, who is Atriox, what their reasoning behind why they're so ruthless and a brutal faction, and that could give you a little bit of, some good knowledge going into Halo Infinite. I think that Halo Infinite is going to kind of reintroduce the Banished faction for those who didn't play Halo Wars 2, but it'll still be nice to know who these characters are going into Halo Infinite. This is kind of the same approach where if you haven't played Halo Wars 1, you can still pick up and play Halo Wars 2 just fine. You're not going to be missing anything. However, if you had played Halo Wars 1, you get a little bit more understanding of who Captain Cutter is, the Spirit of Fire ship itself, the crew, the Spartan Red Team. You get a little bit more of an understanding of these characters and the setting and what's at stake. And I think that's kind of the same with the Banished. Also, I think if you take Halo Wars 2 as what it is, it's an RTS game designed for both PC and console. I'd actually say it's one of the best RTS games I've ever played. I've never really been a hardcore RTS fan where I've gone more towards the StarCraft or any of those kinds of games. I do play Age of Empires casually, but I just found Halo Wars 2 really easy to pick up and play, where it's kind of the easy to learn, hard to master kind of games. So if you're someone who's even remotely interested in RTS games, or if you're remotely interested in strategy games, but you're a little bit afraid of the steep learning curve, Halo Wars 2 does a pretty good job of holding your hand throughout the campaign, and you could get a pretty good understanding of how this game works before you jump into multiplayer. By and large, as an RTS game, Halo Wars 2 is a really good RTS game. There's no real major drawbacks that I have with Halo Wars 2 as a strategy game. I think with the tools that it gives you and the way that it's designed works really well. Next, let's talk about the content in Halo Wars 2. Halo Wars 2 has a couple of packages. There's your Standard Edition, and that's the one that's included in Game Pass, by the way. And then there's the Complete Edition. The Complete Edition includes the Season Pass, which is a bunch of leaders, as well as 2 campaign missions. It's kind of like a mini campaign called Spearbreaker. And then the Complete Edition also includes the expansion pack, Awakening the Nightmare. Of course, you can buy all this separately if you want, but the best bang for your buck is going to be in the Halo Wars 2 Complete Edition. So in that whole package, you get your standard campaign, your standard heroes. You're also going to get, I think you start out with like 7 leaders, if I remember correctly. You get 3 UNSC, 3 Banished, and then Forge for free. It's going to bring your leader count all the way up to 16 leaders. So you're going to get another 9 additional leaders out of the Complete Edition, as well as that Spearbreaker campaign. Awakening the Nightmare has also its own campaign, and then you're going to get the Terminus Firefight expansion mode, which is a lot of fun. So there is a variety of content. Halo Wars 2 has a lot of different game modes. There's Blitz, there's your regular multiplayer. Of course, there's Skirmish against some AIs if you want. There's your Terminus firefight, your Blitz firefight, and of course your campaign mode. So there's a lot of content here. If you can pick up the complete edition for, say, $40 or even $30, I think that's an incredible deal. If you're a little cautious on, whether or not you should play Halo Wars 2, if it's worth all that money, if you have Game Pass, try it out. It is, of course, free on PC and console on Game Pass, so you can try it out, see how you like it. If you're like, oh yeah, I think I could really get into this, you do get a discount if you're a Game Pass member and you decide to buy that complete edition that way too. Halo Wars 2 also has cross-platform multiplayer. There's some sort of misunderstanding in a lot of the community. Some people think that these platforms are separated and they don't mix and match. And that's entirely not true at all. Ed and I, for years, I played on PC, Ed played on console, and we had no problem. The game is cross-platform enabled, so whether you have Windows 10 or Xbox One, you can play with your friends on either platform. It doesn't matter what platform they're on for the game. You just add them on Xbox Live, and that's how you can get into matches and play. You can, of course, play on PC with mouse and keyboard or a controller. It's your preference. There is no mouse and keyboard support on console. However, this game is one of the forgotten about Xbox Play Anywhere program titles. So if you buy this digitally on Xbox, you automatically get a free copy on PC. And I believe it's vice versa as well. So if you buy it on PC, you get it on console. So you don't need to buy 2 copies of the game. You get both of them for one price. So that's pretty cool. Halo Wars 2 also, I believe, is part of the xCloud program. So if you want to play Halo Wars 2 on the go on your phone, you can. Keep in mind, if you own Halo Wars 2 on your Xbox and then you download the Xbox app, you can actually remote play your games from your Xbox to your phone as well. So you don't necessarily need a Game Pass subscription. As long as you own the game and you get the Xbox app, you can do that as well. I tried it out. It's quite fun, but I don't really see myself carrying a phone and a controller with me just to play Xbox games everywhere I go, but to each their own. Finally, to wrap it up, are there really any major issues that would prevent me from playing Halo Wars 2? I get that question asked quite a lot. Halo Wars 2 isn't a perfect game. There are, of course, balancing problems that a lot of people in the community say that the game has. Currently, in the end of 2020, as I record this, I think the balancing's in a pretty good spot. It's one of the better spots we've had the balancing in between the factions. I still think UNSC isn't as good as Banished, but it is fairly balanced by and large. Of course, there are bugs, so you'll get some crashes, more so on PC than on console, but there's really nothing stopping you from playing Halo Wars 2. So yes, I would play and buy Halo Wars 2. That's going to conclude it for me. What are your thoughts? Do you think you should buy Halo Wars 2, or do you disagree with my points? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below, and check out the playlist that I have on the channel for our multiplayer series, where I play a lot of Halo Wars 2. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you, James.